Excited? Oh, you look so excited. We look like the most excited dog in the entire world. Oh yeah. Massage those shoulders. Gotta feel loose. Oh yeah. Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to Houston with Problem. It's Monday, 21st of August. Yeah, 21st of August. So hello everybody, and well, what's happening? Got a couple things happening. Hurricane brushed up the coast of California, went inland. I think it's now a depression and somewhere over like Oregon, Nevada border. Dropped many inches of rain. Lots of places flooded. Still waiting to hear like how bad it was, but it seemed like a lot of communities were prepared for it, and there'll be damage. There'll be lots of the arroyos, the washes in the desert will definitely splish splashed through a lot of houses and things. So they declared a state of emergency out in Palm Desert, Palm Springs, Indio Valley, Coachella, through that area. San Diego set an all-time rain record for the most rain dropped in a 24-hour period. Dodger Stadium flooded, but they're out of town, so there's plenty of time to get things ready and dried up and ready to go. I'm sure the sun will come out and be just like, just suck all that water out of the ground. What's happening, monkey? Duh. I don't know. Stuff's happening. Oh, mortgages. Mortgage rates went above 7.5% today. The 10-year T-note is the highest interest it's been since November 2007. What happened after November 2007? Lord my chin, I can't imagine what happened. The housing market's really weird because 60% of those who own a home are locked into a 4% or lower mortgage. Hey, buddy, come up and say hi. Come on, little fat boy. Come on. Yeah, there it is. Coil up. Come on. Don't just, come on. You can't just sit there. There you go. Can't do karaoke. Yeah, so 60% of homeowners are locked into a really good mortgage. And no one can afford to pay 7.25%, 7.5% interest on a mortgage and move. And if you are locked into a good mortgage, you're not going to put your house up for sale because there's no one to buy. And when you have to buy, you're going to have to get a new mortgage that is way crazy high interest rate, meaning rather than going from starter home to nicer home, you would go from a nice home back to a starter home again. So the odds of people being willing to sell right now are really low because unless they've got cash, they're not moving in to anywhere because that's just if you're going to move into a worse house, why would you sell? Which also means that it's going to be a problem for employers trying to attract new workers because there's the kitty head. Hey, buddy. Because they might not be willing to move. Like, oh, we offer you this job and you move to Houston, Texas or something. And they're like, oh, but I own a home here and I've got a 2.5% mortgage. I'm not going to move to Texas where I'm going to get a worse house and it's going to cost me more. Cat, quit stepping on shit. Oh my gosh. Hopefully it didn't end the show. Looks like it's still going. Okay. Step on the keyboard like a real jerk. Butthole. So, you're going to go join Monkey. The monkey's going to be disgusted. The monkey's going to get up off that seat because the cat is touching me. And then the cat will have the seat and the monkey will be upset for the rest of the show. Right? That's how it works. Because you just want to cuddle because you're such a sweet little fat boy. And you hate cuddling because you are a completely cold creature. Right? You're just a cold bitch. Yes, you were. Okay. Everybody's all squared away. Now we just need a visit from the kitten and the orange cat. We have the whole party going. Okay. This. Purr. Yeah, such a strong purr. All right, turn that off. Cat will distract me. I'm going to turn that off. Okay. It's off. No mistakes this week. Justin, Kappa TV, Houston. Can you please give an update on GME? How do you feel Q2 results will end up? GME wallet's soon to be shut down. Ryan Cohen is pretty much both CEO, CFO, but $1 billion in cash still on books. I don't know if they'll post a profit this quarter. I mean, largely they are a business that's type business that's hugely dependent upon holiday sales. So Q3, Q4 are where they make all their money, especially Q4. So, a little bit of a loss. Okay. Hopefully they'll beat estimates as opposed to last quarter where they didn't beat estimates. They were actually behind a little bit. That's where I think they'll go. I think ultimately their goal is to have really, really, really robust Q4s and use that to sustain a dividend of sorts going forward. Now, will they beat last year's? I'm going to guess they're probably right around last year's earnings, in there somewhere. I doubt they're going to post green for this quarter, for the Q2. So that's where I think it is at the moment. But update beyond that, I've heard nothing as to new stuff coming out. So they're really tight-lipped about those things. They're just, and then all of a sudden something new will appear. So Jiga Shukla, don't forget Zelda came out this quarter. That's true. Zelda did come out. So that'll be a big sales push. And then this Q3 is the Baldur's Gate. That one's getting huge press. So they'll go in with that one. But yeah, Zelda's huge. That'll help a lot. Good point, Jigish. Snurlert. Oh, Houston, did you review Daniel Fong's Light Cell Energy already? I did. I brought it up here. I honestly don't quite understand it. It's a little beyond me. Let's see here if we can bring up. Gotta go to Chrome. Gotta double click on that. Click on that. Go there. Done. Okay. What? A light cell is an engine that uses light to make electricity. Light cells burn hydrogen fuel mixed with sodium aluminate. Hot sodium aluminate emits near monochromatic light, which tuned photovoltaic cells collect to make electricity. Okay, so they're burning stuff. Makes light. Then the cells gather that light and turn it to electricity. That much I get. Okay. Now, is there thrust involved with this thing? Because they've got this intake and exhaust. The exhaust looks a lot like an afterburner, I'll be honest. They got this weird 3D printed thing that is some sort of crazy fan that pulls stuff through. So hydrogen fuel combustion, sodium aluminate optical captivity infrared recycling, ceramic recuperator heat recycling. So 3,000 suns, yellow light. I have no idea what that even means. Band gap tuned photovoltaic cells. So you have photovoltaic cells that absorb this light, create electricity. Talking about the energy densities of various things that burn, and hydrogen is lower than things like natural gas and petroleum, but it burns clean. So it's a way of creating energy source that doesn't produce pollutants. But you can use other things. You need natural gas, ammonia, butane, so on. But ideally, you want to use something that doesn't produce CO2. Target efficiency is 40% wire-to-wire, which is better than an engine. Power, you do 5 kilowatts per kilogram. That's pretty good. It's more than a current battery. And module size, about 10 kilowatts, 4 liters. All right. So this goes into sodium being mostly monochromatic. In Hawaii, especially the Big Island, all the street lights and everything are sodium lamps because It makes it really easy for the telescopes to filter out light pollution that way. So you just go, oh, just filter out the sodium band on most of your objects, and then we can look at everything else. And that way, you don't have to worry about light pollution on the Big Island. But yeah, it's almost monochromatic. It's very particular yellow. When you see sodium yellow, you go, that's sodium. The yellow light at a stoplight is pretty close to sodium yellow. Okay, and then talking about how stuff happens to make it do its thing. Yeah. So, I'm not sure. Ceramic 3D printed counterflow heat exchanger acts as a recuperator, collecting 90% of the heat from the exhaust and efficiently preheating intake air and fuel. So, they're burning stuff. This thing is absorbing that heat. So, as the things pass through this weird turbine-looking thing, it heats the air on the way, and sort of like an on-demand water heater, but for fuels. So it makes it easier, more efficient to burn them. And I don't know about the whole light thing. That's whatever. So, and there's Daniel Fong. And these people. Yeah. So they've been working on it for about a year. And yeah. So that's the system. Burn sodium, make light, absorb that light, turn electricity. There you go. No double intro. Ha ha ha. Suckers. Okay. Taylor Reed, happy birthday, Houston. How bad is this crash going to be? And wondering about the implications it will bring to the future. Will it be a severe recession, or should I start ordering depressos? I think something close to being on order to what we saw in 08-09. At least. There's a potential for it to be bigger because we've got this sort of stagflation problem where we have a lot of inflation leading up to the economy collapsing. And we've had to hold back on printing money this entire time to keep inflation down, or try to keep inflation down. And we could have a crash happen while inflation is still high, and we have to print money to get out of the crash, which would cause the economy wouldn't be necessarily coming out of it while we have high inflation. So we get a stagflation event, which takes a long time to get out of. You basically have to just punish the economy, which is what we did in the 80s when we had stagflation and high inflation. High inflation was reaching like 20%. We had to basically say, we're going to hurt all of you until you stop buying stuff. We're going to kill every freaking industry in America until you stop buying things. And then we get inflation down to a reasonable level, and then we're good to go. But it took a long time to do that. So, yeah, this is the stuff that absolutely killed Detroit in the Rust Belt, and why a lot of manufacturing went overseas around then, because, well, we had to kill everything, and we had really crappy import rules, and it was easy to take all the tooling out of a factory in the U.S., send it to a factory in Vietnam or into China, and then all of a sudden everything's made in China. We don't have the tooling here anymore to make it here. So if we wanted to bring the jobs back, we couldn't, because the tooling now belongs to China and not to us anymore. Don't detool your nations. That should be rule number one. But I mean, if you know the economy is going to crash, you can make money from an economy crashing by shorting the economy. So that's what Michael Burry's doing. He'll get paid $1.6 billion if his bet pays off, or the drop in the Dow. So, the SPY. So that's you can make money when it crashes. And we are hopefully negative beta stocks, and hopefully we've got plays going on also, hedging for that. But I think with Evergrande finally filing for bankruptcy, this means these banks, institutions, and funds are going to have to write off their debt finally, which is going to eliminate an incredible number of assets for a lot of these banks, institutions, and funds. That's just the start. The other Chinese real estate guys that they're all invested in. I mean, I've explained it before. Like, China built all that infrastructure using our money. Our money paid for it. They took out bonds, took a bunch of U.S. dollars from those bonds, and they built a bunch of stuff. And now they're not going to pay us back. So why didn't we build that stuff here instead? Wouldn't you rather have like cool infrastructure? If all those banks can go bankrupt, may as well build it all here and then defaulted on it. Why send it out of the country so that China could default on it and have all the infrastructure? Because you're not going to get squat back. And if you do happen to get anything back, if you do happen to have a collateralized bond for Evergrande, you're going to get tofu dang construction, which is a bunch of crap, which is going to cost you more money to tear it all down than the land is worth. So you're just not, you don't want it. Like, investing in that stuff is such a terrible, terrible idea. And everyone just thought, oh, the good times will last forever. China will have 10% growth year over year in perpetuity, not realizing that the population is getting smaller, that manufacturing is actually leaving China and going elsewhere where it's cheaper. And then China saber rattling over Taiwan. And, it's just, no, nothing lasts forever. There's always a bust some point along the line. Something will go puny pop. And that's it. The dominant paradigm has shifted. The status quo has changed. And we're on to the next one. Kelly Reed, Chinese trust companies on the brink, looming bankruptcies bigger than Evergrande. I think this crash of the global economy will be, how did you go bankrupt? 2 ways, gradually, then suddenly. That's as good an assessment as anything. I think a lot of these banks, institutions, and funds, they look at their books and they go, we're screwed. They know how much of that Chinese real estate bonds they own and things that are tangential to it, and they know it's worthless. And they're trying to go as long as they can without having to write it off. So we're in this like game of chicken. They're hoping that somewhere some miracle comes along that can replace those assets that are worthless. But they're going to pretend like they're worth something for as long as they can, because as long as they can do that, they can use it as collateral on margin and make plays and just pray that something pops or makes up for the fact that the stuff is going to collapse. I think that's where they are, but it's inevitable. It's absolutely inevitable. Mighty Mouse, do you think the BRICS summit meeting will end the US dollar? Starts tomorrow? No, it will not. I kind of explained in the last show why, but Iran hates Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia hates Iran. Russia hates China. China hates Russia. India hates China. China hates India. Right? The main players in this all hate each other's guts. They do. They hate each other's guts. And India can't make the rupee international currency because the only thing people want out of India as an export is rice, and India just blocked the export of rice. I don't know if you've read the articles, but like you go to Indian restaurants now, like you have basmati rice, and that's about it. They've blocked every other kind of rice export from India, and all these restaurants can't make a lot of the food that they normally make because they just can't get it. And this is because India sees there being a potential supply chain problem when it comes to food, and they don't want their population to starve again like it did 70 years ago. So if you can't export something that people want, they're not going to use your currency to buy it. They're going to use dollars, right? And China doesn't let their currency out of the country in large quantities, so that's not going to become international currency. Saudi Arabia has a lot of oil, but they don't have a big enough population to really throw their weight around. Iran is under sanctions by everybody. Russia's under sanctions by everybody. So, no, you're not going to get them agreeing on like a common currency. And if they do, try to back it with gold. And if in places like India, love gold. Like, the amount of gold that's sold in the world, India probably dwarfs everybody because they just love wearing gold, putting into things. So just imagine everyone in India. It's like, all right, cool. I'm going to go. I got this currency says I can get this much gold, this much money. I'm going to go get that gold right now. They will deplete the stocks of gold that those nations and BRICS have like that because they love gold. What will happen is the gold price will skyrocket, devaluing the currency in general, which will cause everything else to skyrocket. And all of a sudden, you're paying $235 for a loaf of bread. So no, there's just too many people and not enough gold to do a gold-backed currency. It's fantasy from sort of these libertarian Mises Austrian school economists thinking that we can go back to a gold-backed currency when the entire reason we left a gold-backed currency was because there was too many people and not enough gold, and now we have 8 times as many people walking the earth as we did back then. Population of Earth was like 1.5 billion people in 1913. We're over 8 billion now. There's too many of us. Just way too many of us. You cannot go to a commodity-backed currency if that commodity doesn't have a substantial amount per person in that economy. Just isn't going to work. In my mouse, if Saudi Arabia does join BRICS, petrodollar's gone? No. Because what currency are they going to use as the standard? Euro? Okay. Like, I don't think the US would care if the euro is standard, but it would still piss off the other BRICS countries, right? You can't use, Saudi Arabian dinars. You can't use Iranian currency. You can't use Chinese yuan. You can't use rupees. You can't use rubles. So what are you going to use? Are you going to create some other currency? You puking over there? What's going on? Chew that bone room? As big as the barf sounds? All right. Dog's deep throating a bone back there. Okay. Michael Mystery, whoopee! And Michael Mystery, thank you for the lovely package. I still have not figured out how to put the soundboard together. My niece and nephew were over this weekend, and we went up into the Olympic Mountains and went to Salt Lake Hot Springs and had a great time. So, did not accomplish anything this weekend. Monkey Boat was pissed off at me for being gone for so long, but, she's a dog. She'll get over it. Alexander K, happy birthday, Houston. What's with the next bridge shares now in AST? How will we get paid if the stock squeezes? Well, you can still trade out of AST. It's just going to be a pain in the butt. One of my viewers from Hong Kong, his broker wants $525 to register his shares, and then told him if he doesn't register, they're just going to delete all the shares from his brokerage account. So I have a feeling that there are more than one brokerage who are going to be doing that because at the moment, the shares are worth 0. So they go, well, if I delete it, then, deleting $0, who cares? So there might be more than one international broker who's doing that. Maybe some domestic ones. I don't know. There's other brokers that are requiring everyone, they're just going to automatically transfer their shares and just get them out of the brokerage because they don't want to deal with the crap. So things are going to get weird. That's for sure. And I started my transfer a little more than 3 weeks ago. They're still in my account at Fidelity. Fidelity has not transferred anything yet. So here I sit. Paratarian, Houston. Had a client call today because she wanted to begin investing and had no education on the stock market. As any good PWA would do, I educated her on GME. She's now an owner of 200 shares. Okay. It's a good price for it right now, too. J-Dog, Mariners had a good weekend. They did. In Houston. They did. They swept the Houston Astros. Julio Rodriguez set a record for 17 hits in 4 games, a record that has stood since 1925 when the Brooklyn Robins were a thing. So the Brooklyn Robins later became the Dodgers and so on. But, talk about breaking an all-time record. In the period of time, those 4 games that Julio Rodriguez had 17 hits, the entire Yankees organization had 17 hits. So Julio Rodriguez outperformed the entire Yankees lineup for 4 days. Says it before, I live just like 2016. Hilary was a loser. G-Font. If you were a portfolio manager, you would get in trouble for that. While I believe in the play, memes are a high-risk investment, and it might not be suitable for your client. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a trend. Love from Wahoo. Doom for AMC. I need some Sears and GME to save the day. Yeah. So the AMC people seem to be getting violent. Like they're like, I don't know if my grenades can get through the metal detector at the AMC headquarters, like stuff like that. Like, yeah, don't talk like that. There's lots of videos going around. Adam Aaron talking about how he's never going to do a reverse split. So you know, so there's these lawsuits are basically saying that he lied to investors and violated his fiduciary duty to them. I mean, I've not seen a halt from the court yet on the reverse split. So in 3 days, there should be a reverse split. But then they combine the tickers, and then Adam Aaron starts selling. And I guess we'll just see where it goes from there. Lucas Speed, happy birthday, Houston. Any news from Rosa? I messaged her before the show. She did her California bar, but she won't hear on the results for it until November. So, and I've not heard back from her at all about her court case. So, we'll wait. See what she says. If she passes her California bar, I think it allows her to practice in any state. Is Illinois, Florida, Texas, and California? Oh, she has Illinois. She might just have Florida and Texas. But there's some sort of thing where if you get enough giant states and you pass the bar on those, you're just allowed to practice anywhere. So she's looking forward to that. It makes you very, very, very marketable as a lawyer. It's a big deal. Izora, Death Clock tomorrow. Ah! All right. Scott Pond. Good day for trading for GameStop. Seems to be somewhat immune to the AMC debacle and other potential basket stocks. Looks like DRS is having its intended effect. I mean, it's become an incredibly stable stock. Like the volatility is gone. So hopefully it's like coiling for an explosion, if that's the case. Leo B, Houston. Hey, news on BBYQ. I'm quietly adding to my position in those dips. Viva la Teddy. What is it sitting at right now? Bing, BBYQ. 20 cents. Dip down to 21. Yeah, 20 cents right now. Throw some dineros at that way. I have free cash the moment to throw stuff at things. I'd be all for it dipping down to single digits again, though. That would be delicious. So, get that going. All right. But the news for BBYQ, nothing too big since last week. What's the latest thing? There's what's the antitrust rule? Iggy sent it to me. But you have to prove that in order to do the merger, you have to prove that, you know, you ain't got no more money. Basically rule. Like, and then they'll be like, oh, well, we can prove this merger now, regardless of any antitrust violations and blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure why they would be violating antitrust to begin with, but it's part of some weird rule in bankruptcy court. So it looks like somebody's going to take the accounting, take the business and accounting forward in some manner. And I have no idea what that manner is going to be or what it's going to be used for. But it's been done before as these companies enter bankruptcy. They pull out the corporate entity and it becomes some other, like almost like a SPAC, acquisition corp for other things. Paul in Houston. I asked an Adam for directions, and they sent me the wrong way. I should have known because they make up everything. Jason Blackwell, what you got for me? Hey, Houston, why do astronomers put ribeye steaks in their shower? They're looking for a meteor shower. Just kill me. Just haul me out back, dig a hole, shove me into it. Apache Football Films, Houston. What ticker will benefit from the new strand of C19 mRNA? Ooh. Yeah, Iris is the new strand, and it's highly infectious, and hospitalizations in New York are the highest they've been since May 2020. It apparently every single solitary Taylor Swift concert has become like a mass spread event, because this one handles itself outside in open air really, really well compared to previous strands. It lasts longer in sunshine. It lasts longer in open air. So it's just spreading. My Facebook feed, not to say this week, but the week before, it almost every other post was somebody I know in my community posting like, "Oh, I got COVID again," or "I got COVID for the first time finally." This one seems like it does a really good job. There's a new version of the vaccine that's designed for the later variants. So hopefully in September, when that thing becomes available, we'll be able to get that and slow it all down again. But this is now endemic. It is going to be a yearly vaccination, just like the flu shot. The problem is that it's currently still deadlier than the flu. We're still at several hundred deaths a day. Where are we? COVID. What is it? Shoot, what's the name of that website? Shoot, it's the best data site, and I haven't accessed it in a while because COVID cases, deaths, 1.3? 1.3 acres, that's the one. Okay. Coronavirus 1.3acres.com. One point 3acres.com. These guys. So can't be reached. That's the one. That's this page. Coronavirus dot 1.3acres.com. Oh, it's because I can't spell corona. If I could just spell, let me get to the website. Okay, so they may have not done an update in a while because things are slowing down. Let's see here. English, United States, yes, okay. Close you. What we got? Okay. New deaths, yeah, we're still 300-400 deaths a day. 7-day average 400. These reporting spikes are when they gather data that perhaps was, missing the counts. But yeah, so we're at a 7-day average, still 400 deaths a day, which comes out to 146,000 a year in the U.S. That's just U.S. data. So 146,000 deaths a year in the U.S. alone from coronavirus, which is more than 10 times what the 2009 swine flu epidemic produced. So the corona deaths are still crazy. That's an unacceptable number. We're not in the thousands, which is good. I mean, the last spikes we had really up in the thousands was February of 2022 with when Omicron first came on the scene. But it's pretty straightforward, but they're starting to go up. We were down 200s for average daily deaths. 300, down 200. Yeah, 200s there. Summer of 2021, we're at 200s, but it's high, and certain regions have higher rates than others. So Cases going up in some of the Midwest states. Nothing's being reported in some of these also. They stopped reporting. Can never trust Florida because Florida doesn't report anymore. So 0 no cases. Nobody has COVID in Florida apparently. Yeah. But numbers still there. Still a lot of deaths. That's official deaths. There are more than that because a lot of people didn't report properly. You had places that had politically motivated coroners who refused to make COVID the cause of death unless there's anything else. We got people that are dying from long COVID, from heart attacks and things associated with long COVID. So excess deaths are still up overall. But yeah, still got 30,000 people hospitalized with COVID in the U.S. right now. It's a lot. There's a lot. But who benefits? Well, the government's no longer covering the cost of vaccination. That's going to have to come from insurers now. So insurers are paying for these vaccinations. If people are still getting vaccinated, I guess Moderna and others will keep making money off of it. Okay. Coffee Donuts and Homer. How does DRS protect GameStop? The shorts can still naked short and never close their positions. I mean, yeah, they that's the majority of what they do. When push comes to shove, they go out and borrow. That's true. But I think most of them are just doing weird derivative swaps. So they're taking this debt, this obligation, and they're just passing it around like a game of hot potato. The music needs to stop soon. Right? Right, fat cat? Oh, your butt's so big. You're such a chunk. Oh, yes. Cat loves a good hard scratch. I forget the other cat doesn't like a good hard scratch, and I'm like scratch really hard. And she's like, no, stop. Oh, I'm sorry. The fat boy loves it. Andrew Stewart, Houston, what is an invention or idea that you find amazing, terrifying, authentic at the same time? Invention? Amazing, terrifying, authentic at the same time. Man, when you guys ask me these questions, my brain just goes completely blank. I mean, what are those things called? The endo cameras? Things that they shove up your butt to look at your colon. Absolutely fascinating, terrifying, all at the same time. That one. Woo! Something more mystical, something more amazing, something more fantastic. Something that will bewilder more than anything. I mean, I do wonder the type of person, civil engineer, who goes into like human waste treatment and invents different methods for dealing with it. I mean, it was something we need in society. And they're huge investments by the public because we got to deal with our turds. We just do. When I did a show with Rocky Outcrop years ago, before the show, he was telling me all about Edinburgh, and the way Edinburgh was designed was they designed the city to capture the trade winds so that it would blow this human smell out of Edinburgh because everyone just dumped it in the streets. And ew. Gross, right? So we have crazy inventions now to like we throw some bacteria in there and we do some filtration processes and we burn some things and eventually out comes drinkable water out of all of that horror that comes out of our bodies that collects in these pools and things. That stuff always fascinates and horrifies me. And like the stories about people that think it'd be fun to go climb around the sewers, and then they die of like methane poisoning because there's no oxygen down there. Ugh. What else, Kitty? What else is horrifying invention that also fascinates? Um. I don't know. The things that are horrifying to me right now are bodily functions. I'll try to think of something. Coffee Donuts at Home or DRV is finally moving up. Oh, is it now? DRV shares. It is moving up. Woo! We're at 53. We were down at 41 just a few weeks ago. So we've been in this territory before. We're at 57 back in May and 61 back in March. So we've had a couple of waves since then. This was our biggest dip of the last 6 months. How about the last year? We had a big dip at 36 in February of this year. So yeah, we're moving up again. What we have not had is the spike like we did in October of 2022. That summer too, I think we had a decent spike. Yeah, October was our big one. Summer had a little spike when the SPY was hurting last summer, but 2020, it's inverse stock. March 2020, huge spike. So when the economy officially is like, we're effed, it went from equivalent 210 to 580. So more than 100% climb, 150% or somewhere around there. So yeah, we're just waiting for something big to happen. Max all time. Well, that's for all the splits. 2009, 314,000 is equivalent. I doubt we'll get pumps like that, but because there's been lots of splits since then. Lise Sasa, Lise, lies, Lise Sasa. Houston, do the cat and kitten have different tastes in food? Well, I finally bought fat piece of shit cat food for this guy because the vet said I had to. Because he eats and eats and eats and eats and eats. And the fact that we've got 3 cats in the house means there's bowls everywhere and he eats everybody's bowls. Now, when I see him going to eat the kitten's food, I go, hey! And he goes, oh, and like he leaves. But then if I turn my back, he'll be right back up there again. The kitten isn't supposed to have adult food, but she loves it. So she keeps sneaking and eating adult food. Apparently older cats can have kitten food because it's like high protein food and it's fine for them. But kittens aren't supposed to have older cat food. But I got this guy high protein, I'm a fatty boobalatti food because that's what this big old chunk is. Look at you. You just meat hound. Yeah. Look at you. Look at you. Look at you. There's so much to love. Right? You big fatty fat. Oh. Okay. So I don't know if they prefer it. He seems to actually like the new food I put in there. He's like, oh, this is delicious. And it's half the calories as his old food. So if he eats the same amount, he's having half the calories in the system. So that should hopefully work out for everybody in the end. KYP. Wow, what a day, Houston. Don't see you on Twitter, and I understand why. So, oh man, let's see if I can find it. Well, let's. I gotta get my arguments in somewhere. So I just gotta mess with people. Well, like messing with someone makes me research things and learn stuff, and I love it. Let's see here. Where are we? No, not what in the world? That's not what I want. I want you. Okay. That's what I want. Okay. Where is it? There we go. Okay. So this is the collection of the dumbest human beings in the history of the world is Facebook Wall Street bets. These people are absolutely just the biggest morons you'll ever see. They're just beyond stupid. Every single person in here, knuckle-dragging morons. Okay, so this lady posts, undergraduate enrollment in petroleum engineering is down 75% since 2014. Wall Street Journal reported that's despite the fact that the average petroleum engineering grad makes 40% more than a computer science grad. Okay, so Wall Street Journal saying that petroleum engineering grads are fewer and fewer as fewer people enroll. They're going to other fields, whatever. All right, this guy, Jake D. Padilla. Friends in the field were laid off and ended up starting their own business, not related. Biden ruined the oil industry. I point out, Jake Padilla, the U.S. is pumping more oil now than any point in history. Jake Padilla, laughed my ass off. No, we aren't. Google searching propaganda does make it true. So I said, Jake Padilla, you're an ignoramus. And I post a link. And the link, once it loads, showing the number of barrels of oil pumped out in the thousands per day in the United States. So 1920s, 1,000 barrels a day. 1940s, 4,000 barrels a day. We get up to 6,000, 7,000, 9,000 by the 70s. Drop a little bit in the 80s through the 90s. Early 2000s, we're at 5,000 barrels a day. Oh, look at that. 2023, we're at 12,000, 12,000, 12,000, 12,000, 12,000, with a little dip in 2020 going to 2021, right? We're producing 2.5 times as much oil per day in the United States as we did in 2010. So during the Bush administration was actually the lowest oil production we had in the United States going back to the 1940s. So it's the lowest oil production in the U.S. since the 1940s, and now we're producing 2.5 times that much every month. No, so there's the data. Jake, you're an ignoramus. Oh, did they not? Did he delete his comment? Oh, that's because they did talk. That's annoying. All comments. I hate when they do that. And of course, now get back here. There it is. Okay. Houston Wade, and you're a sheep. Weird. Closer we get to election time, somehow it's a sudden increase in the stat. We will just ignore the sudden decline for 2020 to 2021 when he took office, and clown, and production still hasn't reached what it was pre-Biden. I said, Jake Padilla, do you know there was a global pandemic in 2020, 2021 where demand for oil plummeted so much that oil prices globally went negative, right? I stand by my statement. You're an ignoramus. Jake Padilla, and I stand by mine. You lack critical thinking. Jake Padilla, I lack critical thinking. I have just demonstrated that your entire ethos is built upon you not knowing things and then making opinions based on these things that you know nothing about. And I'm the one who lacks critical thinking? You're a Dunning-Kruger poster child. Seriously, Facebook Wall Street Bets is like the gutter ball of humanity. Just the dumbest motherfuckers in the entire universe. Collect here. Did your parents feed you paint chips as a kid? I'm probably going to get blocked by Facebook for bullying again, but geez, Minnie, some people just deserve to get bullied. They need it. They need to be told just how fucking stupid they are all the time, and that they're wrong about everything. I'm so confident in my decisions, I never read. Blah, 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 blah. Like, we are producing more oil in the U.S. than we have at any point in history. 2.5 times as much oil every month as we did in 2010, 14 years ago. That's how much more oil we're producing. And granted, a lot of it has to do with the invention of fracking and the implementation of that, allowing us to have easier access to things. But the fact people aren't majoring in oil field engineering has nothing to do with the fact that we're not producing oil. I think it's because kids are growing up knowing that, we're killing the planet, and that they don't have interest in joining a career that furthers the killing of the planet. We need oil. We do. We need it. It's just, we have to use it for fuel. We have to use it for making pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers. We have to use it for plastics. We have to use it for asphalt, for making highways. We're going to have to use oil in all sorts of things. The goal is, though, that we don't burn it, that we use it for something else and we just aren't burning it, releasing the atmosphere, causing things like, rampant droughts and killer fires and sea level rise and everything else that's the problem with filling our atmosphere with the stuff that's burned. But yeah. So, man, they're just so stupid on that site. Just, and it comes up and I just go, I have to say something. They're just so confident in their stupidity. And I don't have Twitter to do that anymore, and I would rather do it on Twitter or a short form thing like Twitter than on Facebook, because frankly, Facebook just, there's like moderating and then there's over moderating, and sometimes Facebook over moderates, and they over moderate for the silliest stuff, like when I said most Americans are mostly stupid and I got blocked for 30 days for hate speech. Buddy, I'm an American. This Jake Padilla guy, he's an American. He's mostly stupid. Anyway, yeah. Avocados is here. Hello. Living the dream. Did your brother get laid off from... not that I've heard. I'm pretty sure he's still there. Lexington Productions, Houston. There was a paper published a few months ago that links big earthquakes on the San Andreas Fault to wet periods in the Salton Sea. Thoughts? Also, how contaminated is it there? I wouldn't go in the Salton Sea. It's the stinkiest place I've ever been in my entire life. It smells like the death of a trillion fish, and a trillion fish died there. You see these beautiful white sand beaches in the Salton Sea? Those are actually fish bones. So, let's see if we can... guys don't know what Salton Sea is. Bing. Boom. There we go. Okay. Go to California. Salton Sea. We talked about Salton Sea being formed last week. It's this guy. Here. It's this lake. Whoa, 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 whoa. On either end of it, we've got serious irrigation. It is a very, very, very... This was a salt lake until 1905? Somewhere in there. And then it filled up during a flooding event on the Colorado and became a permanent lake. And then all these fields started getting irrigated and lots of farming happened. And so the runoff from all the irrigation goes in here. So there's lots and lots of salts, lots and lots of herbicides, pesticides, fertilizers, runoff from human waste, animal waste, blah, blah, blah. But you go along here and you've got these, when you're driving along, it looks like white sand beaches. All of them. Where's Bombay Beach? Bombay Beach is over here. Here's Bombay Beach. So, and you go out and you're like, I'll walk on the sand. Every bit of what you see here is not sand, they're fish bones. So the sea got too polluted with salt and toxins, and all the fish that were in here, like trillions upon trillions upon trillions of fish died, and their carcasses washed up and created the sandy shorelines that we see today. It's absolutely bonkers. So Bombay Beach was largely abandoned in the 80s. There was an event that caused flooding. All the homes flooded. You can actually, I don't know if it's true now, but when I was last there in 2017, you can look in the windows of some of these houses and you can see like people left during meals. They just went, I'm out. And they just left. There's like plates and things sitting there on the tables. But it's all bombed out. Now, I don't think you're allowed to live in any of these ones. You might be able to live in these ones back here. There were a couple of people that were living there, but all these were essentially abandoned. And if you played Grand Theft Auto 5, the little mobile home community that was on the lake was modeled after Bombay Beach. One where Trevor hangs out, that one. It smells really bad. Let me see if I can see Bombay Beach. Here we go. All right, turn you off. This is what the Bombay Beach sand looks like. It's this. It's all fish skeletons. Like every last bit of it is just fish skeletons. So you look at that sandy beach and it is just bones of dead fish that have been dead since like the 1970s. See some of their little heads poking out of them. It is all dead fish and it smells terrible. And because it's so dry, they like mummified and it just reeks. What's amazing was in the 1940s and 50s, they decided to make it into like the California Riviera. So they started building hotels and yacht clubs and all sorts of stuff. And like the Hollywood elite were like buying cabins and mansions and be like kind of like a Palm Springs-esque respite. And then all the fish died. Everything got stinky and everyone, yeah, I'm out of here. So, yeah. Yeah, Bombay Beach. Whew. Bones. Bones, bones, bones. There it is, flooded. Lots of tilapia. Yeah, lots of oxygen, salt went too high, and they all died. Other photographs, we have here more flooding events. Bombay poop. Yeah, stinky. That place stinks so much. And it hits you like a ton of bricks, man. When you drive by, just... So there are some people like still living and maybe squatting in some of these places. There are definitely no jobs, that's for sure. But... Sorry, what was the question eventually in the end there? Oh, water, wet periods, and Salton Sea. So San Andreas Fault has a bunch of soapstone that's where a lot of the slips happen on the fault. So it's this transverse fault. There's one's fault sliding against another. One's moving north, the other's kind of moving south. And when it gets super slippery is when the saltstone versus saltstone slide past each other. So it's a lot easier for that fault to move than a lot of other faults that happen because soapstone is really slippery. That's why they call it soapstone. And you introduce water into soapstone, well, it's going to move even easier. So yeah, so wet periods can lead to more movement. It won't lead to bigger earthquakes, but it'll probably lead to more of them. And more of them is safer than like one big one every once in a while. So yeah, so there you go. Also, how contaminated is it? It's super contaminated. Don't drink it. Don't swim in it. Ugh. Yeah, don't swim in it at all. Legacy 10 Productions. Julio Rodriguez broke a 100-year record for most hits in a 4-game period. Do you think the Mariners are going to make the playoffs? I think they're in the wild card now, right? Wild card standings. Oh, no. Oh, wait. Yeah, Seattle's in it. Seattle's in the 3rd spot right now. They are the hottest team in baseball by far. Yeah, Seattle moved past Toronto. They're still half game behind Houston, and taking those 3 games from them did a lot of damage. You can see 7-3 in the last 10 versus 4-6, 6-4. Baltimore is the only one that's hot, and that's after the Mariners took 3 or 4 from them. So, yeah, everyone else, Texas 4-6 for the last 10. Let's look at regular season. How far back are the Mariners from? Mariners are 3 games back from the AL West, and with the way they're playing, they could take that. I mean, they were six games back, I think, of Houston just a few weeks ago. So they're almost tied with them now. So yeah, they got going on. What's amazing is that, you know, the Mariners are getting hits now, but they don't have a very good team average. Their team stats are terrible. Let's see here. 2023 Seattle Mariners. Come on, give me those team stats. All right. So batting average 220, 255, 165, 266, 230, 252, 278, 254, 220. That is some garbage team batting right there. Slugging, meh, all across the board. We're at 700s. I mean, that's okay for like journeyman stuff. A couple of guys are batting well, like Tom Murphy. He's on the disabled list. He like dislocated his thumb or something. Our stud, Kellenick, is on the disabled list. He broke his leg kicking a cooler out of frustration. He was doing really well, and he's done probably for the season or close to it. Dylan Moore, he's got the best stats on the entire team, and he fills in. That's what he's got going on. Nobody else has good stats. That's it. Everyone is like very middling. Even Julio. Like Julio, he's almost 800 on base plus slugging. He's got quite a few home runs. He's had some really good play recently, but he's batting 278. It's okay. Like his stats are okay. But no, not great. It's the pitching. Pitching is where they're rocking. George Kirby's doing well. Castillo, he's up against all the number ones, so he's not that many wins, but pitching well. Logan Gilbert is a stud. Bryce Miller is good. Woo's doing okay. Mark Gonzalez is also majorly injured, and he wasn't doing that well, but he had good wins. It's all pitching, but recently the bats have heated up, so maybe those stats will all climb out, and they'll be fantastic. But for the last 3 years, the Mariners have done really well with some of the worst hitting in the entire league. It's only like at the end of the season they start just turning it on and going, "Woo, I'm an animal." But for the first 4 months, they're so bad. I don't know how they score runs. I don't. Cod Reddick. Oh, Coder Reddick. Hey, Houston. Hope all's well. You think shorts cover on GNS this week before Divvy? No. Shorts don't cover. They will start to do it when the shit's the fan, which will be 90 days after the dividend. That's when you'll start to see actual action happen. But they'll short it down before then, after then. That's what they'll do. That T90, when they've got to start delivering the crypto dividend to everybody, that's when crazy stuff will go wild. But they won't do squat until they're forced to. They never do it. Just like humanity not maintaining our infrastructure the way we should, hedge funds won't cover until disaster happens, and then they'll be forced to do it. They will put it off for as long as possible and hope that some hand of God comes down and rescues them. So sometimes they get rescued, such as the U3 halt with MMTLP. Aaron Soundteam, what do you think on GNS short squeeze before the dividend on Friday? Oh, that's the same question. Yeah, I don't think there'd be any squeeze before the dividend. I think if there is a squeeze, it'll be 3 months later when failure to delivers get too insane. Beats by the Wood, Houston, long time listener. Any idea for electrical engineering senior design? Oh, you asked me that one. And I did not ponder on that like I said I would. Electrical engineering design project. Oh. I mean, does that have to be something new and unique, or can you do something that someone has done before? Can you make an air sampler, or something that is a flow meter, or just build something cool? Or does it have to be a unique, no one's ever done this before type thing? Because if that's the case, then my brain can't think of anything. What if you designed something that would open and close windows in a house depending upon where the wind is coming from, so you get the most maximum effect of breeze passing through the house? I don't know. That's popped in my head. But yeah, superconductors are interesting. I don't know how you get your hand on one. Park Life. Do you own any surf shirts made in Japan? If so, where do you buy them without paying obscene prices? I don't think I have any surf shirts made in Japan. I may have had some when I was a little kid. My family lived over there. But no, I don't think I do. I don't have very many surf shirts left in general because they've all worn away over the years. I had a lot when I was a kid. When Gardner was pro surfer and had his own board company, we had all that. He just made shirts rain on me, but I was like a little kid, so I grew out of all of them since then. I think I saved a couple of his classic shirts. One sec. Let's see if I have some old Gardner surf shirts. I do. Squirreled away in a couple of drawers. Here we go. This is Gardner custom surfboards. Woo! Local Motion Hawaii Gardner surfboards. That was one of Gardner's surfboard companies. And then we had Avalanche, which was his surfboard company. So there we go. These are survivors. They don't get worn. They just sit in a drawer to commemorate when Gardner was a surfboard manufacturer back in the 80s. So yeah. Problem was his surfboard company is called Avalanche, and then a snowboard company called Avalanche came out, and they were huge immediately. And Gardner got like a cease and desist, but he was like, I was first. And but he didn't have the money to fight them because they were huge. I don't know if they exist anymore because I haven't seen anyone on Avalanche snowboard in a long time. Avalanche snowboards. Avalanche snowboards. Huh. Used. Avalanche snowboards. Apparently they still exist. But back in the 80s, they existed. 84, 85. Avalanche snowboards. You have a Wikipedia article? Wikipedia. Bev Sanders. Co-founded Avalanche Snowboards with her husband, Chris Sanders. In 82. That's about when Gardner started a surfboard company. Co-founded Snowboards, Lake Tahoe. Inspired Sanders Designs, snowboard design for women. Trans World recognized Sanders' contribution to women's sports. But I don't see an article for Avalanche Snowboard. I have no idea if they still exist. Anyway, getting me distracted. Yeah, so I got those, but they aren't from Japan. They're from San Diego. Avocado's gonna crash. Gonna be wise. Wait. All right. Sorry. Avocados crash. Gonna be wise than 08, I think. So many bad things happening. China, Russia, climate change, Credit Suisse, other banks, commercial real estate, here and there, overseas. Oh, worse. Crash gonna be worse, not wise. Worse. The autocorrect will get you every time. I think it's potential to be worse, which is why I'm going to say it's going to be at least as bad as 08, 09. Because we didn't learn the lessons of 08, 09. We created different loopholes for them to ruin everything with rather than fix the systemic problem. And we should fix these things this time around. We should go, never let it happen again. We will, block banks from giving this much margin to these hedge funds. We will make naked shorting illegal. We will eliminate payment for order flow. We will force shorts to reveal what positions they're short on, just like they have to reveal what positions they're long on. Things like that. So I think a crash will give us the opportunity to get that done, but we'll have to be very proactive with elected officials to get that done without having it ruined by lobbying from the bad interests who ruin everything. Ron Johnson, happy birthday, Houston. If I'm serving a life sentence and I died for a moment and then bring me back to life, is there a lawyer that can get me out of prison because I served a life sentence? There's a guy currently suing about that right now. Man suing that he completed life sentence because he died. Benjamin Schreiber, bizarre incident. An Iowa U.S. prisoner tried to argue that he had technically served his life sentence after briefly dying and being brought back to life. In 1996, Schreiber was sentenced to life in prison after he clubbed a man to death with the handle of a pickaxe. Ooh, not the pickaxe itself, just the handle? Oh, then it's just a stick of wood. At that point, you can leave the pickaxe out of there. It's just he clubbed somebody to death with a stick of wood. So it's 2019. All right. Prisoner briefly died, argues that he served his life sentence. Court in Iowa found that a murderer who's revived is either still alive, in which case he must remain in prison, or he's actually dead, in which case this appeal is moot. So that's the ruling. So the precedent has stood that if they revive you, then you were alive, and if you were actually dead, then you can't appeal. So there you go. That's the rule. So you may find a lawyer who will make the argument for you. You may be able to sue the prison for reviving you, forcing you to continue to live in prison, which could be seen as cruel and unusual. That might be an Eighth Amendment violation. So if you die, then you don't have to serve a prison term anymore. But if they revive you, you still have to serve in prison. So yeah, I would argue that reviving you might be against your wishes, and it would extend your prison stay longer than you wanted. So you might be able to sue and get cash you can't spend on it. Scott Pollen. It's not a crash until home prices in the Hamptons fall for 2 consecutive quarters. Or until they're being auctioned off by U.S. Marshals by the dozens. Scott Lumley, hey Houston. If we are past the point of no return environmental-wise, will humanity survive and thrive, or will we suffer a lot of losses and live on as a reduced population, or will it be Mad Max? I think it depends upon how society collapses. Like, say Greenland melts. Sploosh! All the ice dumps into the ocean, and ocean levels rise 15 to 30 feet, right? And like way too fast in a matter of weeks. So let's say that happens. You're looking at, what if we bring up map? Map of world at various sea level heights. Okay. Maybe this will help us at however many feet. Okay, let's see here. Flood map pro. I don't need flood map pro. I just want. All right, that's 400 meter water level, which is I don't think there's enough water on Earth to do that. So we're gonna do a 7 meters set. Okay, so 7 meters eliminates Wilmington, Myrtle Beach, Jacksonville, Williamsburg, bits of DC, bits of Baltimore, a good chunk all up into Philadelphia. Good chunk of Philadelphia is gone. Port's gone there. So these ports, basically every port on planet Earth is gone. Philadelphia International Airport, gone at 7 meters. We're going to New York. New York is toast. Manhattan, Manhattan's done, son. It's Jersey City. There's Manhattan. So Manhattan, Wall Street's gone, so that's a good thing. Battery's done. Midtown, done. Bronx is okay, so we're all right there. A lot of Brooklyn's gone. Boatload of those places. JFK is gone. John F. Kennedy Airport's gone. LaGuardia is gone. That's at 7 meters. If we go across the world, 7 meters, we go to someplace like Bangladesh. About a third of Bangladesh is gone at 7 meters. So that's with the amount of ice that is contained in Greenland. You're looking at some major cities in India and Pakistan wiped out. So let's see here. What about you got Kolkata or Bombay? Kolkata's gone. So there's 30 million people out of the way. Go to Tokyo. Come on, go to Tokyo. Tokyo, Yokohama. So a good quarter of Tokyo, Yokohama is gone on that. So that's 8 million people displaced or so. Largest metropolitan area in the world. You can go to places like London. So London, all the ports in London are toast. Those are gone. Major ports to the north, gone. Yeah. So at that height, the supply chain vanishes because a huge number of airports are gone, and every seaport on Earth is gone. What about China? It's probably a couple 100 million people in China that are in this zone. Here we go. There's probably 100 million people. It's all in Chinese. I don't know which cities those are. Toast. The ports in places like Hong Kong are done. This whole tip here in the Vietnam, gone. Yeah, so you're going to see at just Greenland happening, the supply chain breaks down, which means no one can import or export anything, right? You can't sell stuff. If you can't sell stuff, how are you going to move things? And so you're going to see production of a lot of materials disappear entirely, especially since a lot of factories are in these lowland areas. A lot of food vanishes. The food being able to move from port to port disappears. And then you get displaced people. You're going to have a lot of displaced people who are going to find homes elsewhere. A lot of rich people who might have cash on hand will lose their waterfront mansions, and they will buy up inland property and may cause weird, crazy price increases that you wouldn't expect otherwise as they try to gobble up what they can while they can, displacing other people. You'll have mass migrations. You'll have refugees and migrants, and you think it's bad now, it'll get even worse. And that's just with Greenland melting. Now with hi buddy, with Antarctica, like what's Antarctic ice shelf melts, you're looking at 250 feet. So that would be around 80 meters. Set. So 80 meters. You're going to see here, like, we're losing huge swaths. Indonesia is the 4th most populous country in the entire world, and they've lost more than half their landmass, right? India and Bangladesh are fucked. That's probably 300 million people right there, completely displaced. Same thing with Pakistan. Same thing with China. I mean, look at China. China has lost probably half their population is displaced, is in this region right there. Same thing with Japan. Looking at weird stuff happening in Manchuria, but not many people living there. Russia loses a host of landmass. Good thing it's completely not populated. Caspian Sea, well, this area is dependent upon drainage, but it does appear that it will be able to connect the Mediterranean to the Black Sea, the Caspian to the Aral Sea. And so these three places would all be connected and be a vibrant something. But there's also nuclear power plants and all sorts of stuff in here that'd be flooded out. You're losing all your, a huge chunk of Italy, huge chunk of France, huge chunk of Germany. You're losing almost all of Denmark, Holland, Belgium, Latvia, Estonia, goodness gracious, Lithuania. Stockholm's gone, Oslo's gone, London's gone, Paris is gone. The river system becomes a sound, and Paris is gone. Nantes is gone. Bordeaux is gone. Valencia, Barcelona, Porto, North Africa, Tunis. 60 million people here in the Nile Valley, dead, gone. All the way Iraq, all the way up the Tigris and Euphrates. Qatar is gone. Where all the people live in the UAE is gone. If we come across to the United States, Florida's gone. Bye, Florida. Houston's gone. All the way down Texas. Much of the Yucatan is gone. Almost all of Cuba's gone. Huge chunks of Colombia. The Amazon River becomes not a river anymore at 80 meters. It becomes a giant bay. So there goes half the Amazon forest. Buenos Aires gone. The entire country of Uruguay is gone. There's entire nations that will just vanish at 80 meters. I am slightly above 80 meters. So I'm on one of these little bits on Bainbridge that I'm okay. I'll live, guys. I'll have waterfront property. So I'll be fine. I won't be able to get off it, but I'll have waterfront property. That'd be great. Most of Seattle's gone. LA's toast. The hills will be fine. The highest production agricultural land in the entire world is right here. The California Central Valley becomes an inland sea, and we lose almost all of our fruits and vegetables in the United States. So we starve to death. Los Angeles is toast. Some of the Channel Islands are gone. Who lives? Well, you get out to Monterey Park, West Corvina. So basically, Inland Empire is fine. Pomona, Ontario, etc. Downtown Los Angeles, actually a little bit okay. West Hollywood's okay. Hollywood Hills are fine. San Fernando Valley. So NBC Studios will be fine. Yeah. But I don't know how you mitigate for this. I mean, at 80 meters, Lake Erie is salt water. Sorry, Lake Ontario is salt water. And a good chunk of Toronto. Like Toronto's ports and the airport is gone at 80 meters. So bye-bye, Toronto Airport. City of Venice definitely gone. So yeah, I don't. DC's definitely gone. So we have no capital. We have no financial sector. Boston's disappeared. Yeah, 80 meters would mean a lot. Absolute lot. Just bonkers to think about. So how do we do something about that? We're fucked. So you gotta think. Like a lot of these sci-fi films, or dystopian films, they depict sort of a rich enclave forms, and these like walled cities form, and then all the poor people are left to fend for themselves on the outskirts. Very plausible. The problem is that the rich people, in order to remain rich and have resources, they need poor people to exploit and get them those resources. And it doesn't last very long walling off the good stuff from the bad stuff if you have to get all the bad stuff to get you the good stuff. That makes sense? And those people will definitely eat everyone. So yeah, we'd be looking at just insane migration. In the United States alone, you're looking at probably 50 million people displaced in the U.S. trying to look for someplace else to live. Real estate in Detroit will explode. If you bought one of those dollar houses in 2009 off of eBay, you're going to make a killing off of the global economy crashing as a result of mass flooding. But you also have to remember that 70% of the world's nuclear power plants are within this purple zone, which means you thought Fukushima was bad. Now we got Fukushima on steroids as 1,000 other nuclear power plants flood the ocean with high-grade uranium, nuclear material. Almost all of the human waste facilities, so they're going to flood. We're looking at chemical plants, refineries, even oil wells in a lot of these places getting flooded and popping and all sorts of bad stuff happening. So the oceans become essentially toxic at that point. The poisoning of humanity would have just flooded the ocean. So the food chain in the oceans collapse, which causes the food chain on land to collapse, which causes humans to starve to death. Especially if we can't move grain around the world, everyone starves. So, yeah, you'll want to have a garden if you can. You know, if you're in St. Louis, you're fine. If you're in Memphis, not so fine. Much of Memphis is gone at this. So Midwesterners will be living it up. Oh, fantastic time. They'll be super stoked. Oh, all their land values will shoot through the roof, and they'll seem so luxurious to be a Midwestern living in like Minnesota. But yeah, not looking forward to it. Well, I'll live on a little island. It'll be fine. I'm gonna see just how specifically I'll be fine here. Okay. Now, I will literally have exactly waterfront. Like, the beach will be my backyard, according to this. Cool. So, 80-meter sea level rise. It will literally be I'll be on a beach. Fantastic. Okay, my next door neighbor on that side, their house will be gone. But their house will be my beachfront. My mom's house is gone. My dad's house is okay. He will be across the street from the beach with his house. Oh, my sister. Sister's over here. Go up. She's pretty high up. So Edmonds. All right. My sister will be... that's Woodway. 8th. Where's 200? Oh, there it is. Okay. She'll be 3 blocks from the beach. Cool. All right. We'll have some great views happening. Oops. Yeah. Okay. But will be Mad Max? Yeah. I mean, structure will break down. You've got, in just the United States, if you got 50 million plus people fleeing or dying, and we have no ports, no airports, no capital, yeah, society will break down, and it will. In the amount of guns there in the United States, this place will be a nightmare to try and to maintain order. It just won't be happening. I mean, we won't even be the nuclear power we thought we were, because like Bangor, where a third of the U.S. arsenals contained, flooded, gone. So, well, North Dakota still, but Scott Pollen. Scott L. We do some of those calculations that minds never underestimate the power of human innovation and new technologies. Thus far, we have figured out each issue becomes worth finding answers for. Which one was I answering for? I'm not sure. Joshua Jackson. He's smart, but he's always wrong about the economy or things that have to do with money. Is it me that's always wrong, or everyone else? Who are you pointing at me that I'm always wrong about things in the economy? I'm not always wrong. My crystal ball is right quite often. Am I always right? No. George T. U.S. money is funny money, even worse than gold-backed money, in my opinion. All money is funny money. I mean, literally, money is only worth what you think it's worth. That's it. If you don't think it's worth anything, then it's not worth anything. It's done. That is why you have some nations experience just crazy runaway inflation like Zimbabwe did in the early 2000s. Because no one thought it was worth anything. And they destroyed all their industry and all their farms and everything else. So they had nothing to back their currency. They had no economy to back the currency, so the currency wasn't worth anything. And they had to attach their currency to our currency, make the US dollar an official currency in Zimbabwe, and that stabilized their currency. That's it. The fact the US exists and has a big, powerful economy and a military is the only reason the US dollar propagates around the world and is as powerful as it is. You can look at international transactions. So, international transactions by currency. most used currencies. Here we go. Okay, so this is showing like currencies around the world and what they're used for. And US dollar is 45.78% of all transactions on planet Earth. The euro is next at 33%, then the British pound, then the yen, the Canadian dollar, Chinese yuan. It's because China does not allow for their currencies to be used around the world. It's only 1.2%. All those loans they're giving in the Belt and Road project are in US dollars. They're not using Chinese money for it. So, there's been some fluctuations. April 2023, 59% of all transactions were US dollars. And we're back down to 42 and so on. So there's been some weird months in there where like euros aren't being used. But again, Chinese yuan, 2%. Chinese yuan, 1.66%. Swiss franc. Switzerland has a population of like 9 million people. And Swiss franc is almost on parity with the amount of Chinese yuan used around the world. And in here, you don't see anything else. You don't see, can I just click on one of these and go lower? Singapore dollar, Norwegian kroner is up there at 0.6, Swedish kroner, Hong Kong dollar, Australian dollar. You can't see, Saudi Arabia's not on there. Russia's not on there. India's not on there. Iran's not on there. How are these nations going to become a huge stat? Like, if I hover over Russia, nothing even appears. You can't even see it. Russian ruble is negligible. What do we have? Saudi Arabia in here at all? Saudi Arabia's not even listed. Oh, there's Saudi Arabia. Never mind. Saudi Arabia, again, like, you won't even notice. You can't even see it on there. South African Rand. You can't see that either. So 1, 2, 3. Is India on this list? Swiss franc, Polish, New Zealand, Turkish, Norwegian, Australian, Euro, Pound Sterling, Hong Kong, Chinese yuan. Yeah. India is not even listed on here. So their rupees are negligible. So how are they going to displace the US dollar if their current currencies basically are unmeasurable as international currencies? Again, you've got an authoritarian dictatorship in Russia. You have a totalitarian dictatorship in North Korea. You've got a totalitarian dictatorship in China. You have a burgeoning autocratic dictatorship in India. This is leaning on fascists, Modi. You have a theocratic dictatorship in Iran. You have a theocratic dictatorship in Saudi Arabia. You have a highly corrupt government. It's a democracy in South Africa, but they are incredibly corrupt. You do not have an A-lister anywhere in there. And them banding together still will not equate an A-lister. Especially when, like, Russia's economy is smaller than mid-sized states in the United States, right? China's heavyweight, but China's population is shrinking fast, and their economy is in the dumpster. India could be a heavyweight, but again, incredibly corrupt, fascist leader, no exports. Their biggest export in India is probably brain power. They got a lot of people. They have a really great college program with like IIT. And anyone who's proven themselves gets a job in the US. We're just sucking the brains out of India. Saudi Arabia's got a lot of resources, but those resources might not be worth much in 15 years when we start getting energy from other sources, like nuclear fusion and having efficient batteries and things like that that reduce the need to burn stuff. They may make a blip, but that's about it. I don't see them being able to thrive with, especially when they all hate each other. Scott Lumley, Houston, do you know what I am voting on with No Labs? How much dilution do you expect when they have to sell more shares for funding? A few million shares. I think for them to survive for a couple of years, probably like 20 million shares. There's like 87 million, I think, issued. So yeah, sell maybe 20 million shares. Live on that for a few years, and by then they get their FDA approval. Good to go. Mr. Pensacola, Thanos' plan don't sound so crazy now. What are you making noises over there? Got the hiccups? You have the hiccups, huh? What, you displaced the fat cat and I didn't realize it? Oh, there's a reset of the chat. Shoot. Okay, where are we going? Anxiety Lord, finally able to catch one of your matinee showings. What would happen if every person on the planet jumped and landed at the same time? We've done that in certain locations before. The UK did an experiment a few years ago where they had all the school children in the UK go out into the schoolyards and all jump up and down at the same time. They measured a 2-point-something earthquake locally in the UK. Let's see here. When was this? 2001. So 1 million school children successfully causing an earthquake by jumping up and down simultaneously in the world's largest scientific experiment. So fun stuff. It was like a 2-point-something earthquake. Does it say here? So thousands of school children in Britain were asked to send children out into the playgrounds at 11 a.m. To jump up and down for a minute in the hope of creating a measurable quake. Organizers of the giant jump event held to mark the launch of the government's science year. It said it had been a success. We were almost sure we had 1 million people out there jumping for us. We got some kind of result at every single seismometer in the entire country. Nigel, of course his name is Nigel, Payne, director of the science year, told Reuters. We generated something like 100th of a serious earthquake. It's not an enormous amount of energy, but significant. It's like 2-point-something. Yeah. So if everyone on Earth did it, that would be a fun experiment to do. It's to like try and get as many people on Earth to do it. Problem is that you would have some people have to go out in the middle of the night, like wake up and go out in the middle of the night and jump up and down. I'd be curious about like areas that are very dense in population. So you take, like Lagos, Nigeria, or Tokyo, Japan, or Mexico City. And you've got tens of millions of people in a small area, all jumping up and down at the same time. I'd be very curious to see what that does. Because this was the UK, it's 1 million kids across 70,000 square miles. Not super dense. But I'd be curious to see, yeah. Stop giving me things. So scientists said 1 million children with an average weight of 110 pounds jumping 20 times in a minute released 2 billion joules of energy and triggered the equivalent of an earthquake measuring 3 on the Richter scale. Yeah. So, yeah. Fortunately, the world didn't split in two as one of the children surveyed before the event believed would happen, nor the Earth leave the sun's orbit as feared by another. I mean, it all comes down to that old Steppenwolf song about firing all our guns at once and exploding into space. Yeah. Third came up with a more likely, less exciting scenario. There'll be lots of hospital visits from people with sprained ankles. Boom. Boom. But what would happen globally? I think we'd have seismometers trigger all over the place. I would be interested, though, in those denser population areas, especially places like Mexico City and Tokyo, where they do have large faults. That'd be interesting. Javi, hey, Houston, I was there to see my Astros lose twice. Mariners are looking good. They are looking good right now. They have been the hottest team in baseball since basically the All-Star break. Same thing happened last year, though. After they were 500 leading up to the All-Star game. Post All-Star game, they went nuts. Absolutely nuts. And some of the things that happened in the past were like when someone had a very strong home run derby outing, they had this lull where they couldn't hit well. Julio Rodriguez has not been that way. He surged post home run derby, and he had an insane home run derby this year. Set a record for the most home runs in a single round. So, he's a young kid. He's only 22. The Mariners have him tied up for 14 years. Signed him for 14 years. He'll be a Mariner for life, basically. And he's only going to get stronger and hit better. And he's got, he'll peak probably in his early 30s. And then, plateau for a while. He's going to be a monster. Guitar Stuff Houston, been out of the loop. What's the story on NextBridge and AST? Register so you can get Nuco shares. And if you don't register, probably won't get Nuco shares. And the brokers may just delete your tickers, as is evidenced by a broker in Hong Kong telling one of my viewers specifically that, saying, if you don't pay the $525 register, we're probably just going to delete your ticker. So, poof, becomes an automatic write-off, I guess, and that's the best you're going to get out of it. Striking Viking, Houston, please settle a heated debate a friend and I are having. Is it sock, shoe, or sock, shoe? You both do opposite. The other think is absolutely insane. I put on my socks first because my shoes are by the front door because we don't wear shoes in the house. So socks and then shoes. I don't have shoes in the bedroom, so I don't do sock, shoe. Does that help? Keep your shoes by the front door, and then you do sock, and you're good to go. Doobie Archie Bunker says sock, shoe. Probably the first time Archie Bunker was right about anything. For posterity, GME is hugely oversold. Any ideas on what fair value is at this point for share of GME? Houston, are you still buying GME? Do you believe it will ever be allowed to run freely? Okay, so I still have GME. I still pick up a little bit here and there. I'm hoping my BBYQ does something that allows me to finally get over the 1,000 share threshold, which is where I'm trying to get to. Anyway, what could be valued? We're going to bring out the calculator on this one. So we're going to turn you off. Calculator, turn on. Nope. Did I close calculator? This calculator. Turn on. There we go. Okay, so calculator. We have 300 million shares in existence at 20-ish bucks, right? So 300 million at 20-ish bucks gives the company about a $6 billion market cap. Now, estimates from Get It Got, from the Swedish brokers who list the percentage of shares owned by Swedes and things like that, European brokers, a lot of them do that, put the estimates pre-split at around 1 billion shares, right? And pre-split, the share price was like $100 a share, hovering 80 to 100 in that zone. So right now, $20 a share is about 80. So let's say that there was 1 billion shares that were out there, and everyone's spent $80 for them. You're looking at an $80 billion market cap. Now, if no lending had happened and no naked sales had happened, and they just had that float of 75, or that authorization of about 75 million shares, right? Then each share is worth about $1,000 in reality. Because if you don't have the ability to market fake shares to everyone and fool them into buying fake shares, and they had to buy the real shares, the amount of money spent on these shares would make the value about $1,000 a share. Now, with an 80 billion market cap, this is assuming they haven't spent more than they already have, and 300 million shares in existence, This puts the true value at about $266 a share. So you eliminate all the naked shares from existence, all the lent shares from existence, and you have just people trying to buy actual shares and not having the liquidity met by printing fake ones. People would have to spend about $266 a share to equal that. That's just with the billion fake shares in existence as of before the split last year. So, yeah, that's probably where it should be trading. Yeah, I mean, and if they didn't have the meme demand to it, I would put a $30 billion market cap on the company. Right? You're doing $6 billion a year in sales, $30 billion market cap. A lot of the companies, that's what they're worth. So let's say it's $30 billion is what the market cap should be. And we got 300 million shares. Then that means we should have a $100 stock price. Just through basic estimates of value of the company. So if they start offering a dividend, you might see the price go up to that price anyway. And then shorts will start paying out of pocket to the brokerages for those shares that they shorted, and things get interesting after that. Big Houston. Christina, you seen hear about the Russian lunar landing fail? How do they even have a space program at this point? Well, Russia planned this years ago, so they managed to budget for this whole thing before they went to Ukraine. So that was in the cards already. Post this failed lunar landing, they're trying to land a little probe on the moon, smacked into the moon and destroyed itself. I doubt they're going to have much more ability to launch things into space. They'll have the fuel, but they might not have the money to do a lot of the machining and manufacturing they need for rocket engines and stuff. That a lot of those guys have been conscripted, and there's no cash, and we haven't heard much out of the Russian space program in a while because they haven't been doing much, and they're squandering their money and socking it away in foreign banks and basically just draining the country dry, which doesn't leave much for development of the sciences. And when your scientists are like, I can go work at Google and make a lot of money, or I can stay in the Russian space program, and make no money, I'm going to move to America. Bill Coyne did U.S. jam Russian moonlanders, making it crash. That'd be hilarious. I don't know. For posterity, I walked outside, saw it was cloudy, ran back inside. Millions of gallons of floating water are going to kill me. This is one of the things that, like, you just try to wrap your head around, is that when clouds are floating above you, right, they contain all that water, hits the ground. So if it rains 7 inches in Palm Springs during this tropical storm, right, that 7 inches of water was once in the sky above you. And I don't know if you've ever tried to pick up like 300 square miles of 7 inches of water, but you can't. Clouds are weird, man. They're so weird. For posterity, Houston, any idea what the pressure levels are at the center of the Earth? Well, density at the center of the Earth is between like 15 and 16 grams per cubic centimeter. But it's going to be in probably the thousands. Center of Earth. We have the exact number here. 3.6 million atmosphere at the center of the Earth. So 1 atmosphere is 15 pounds. Come on, calculator. Where'd you go? There you are. So 15 pounds per square inch, right? Oops, got clear. 15 pounds per square inch times 3.6 million. Oops, one too far. Puts it at 54 million pounds per square inch. I don't think you'd survive pressure at the center of the Earth. You don't have to get too far before it gets to the point where it's too hot and stuff doesn't work anymore. The deep borehole the Soviets did in the 70s, they're trying to drill the deepest hole ever, and they got down, it was like 16 miles. Soviet deep borehole. No, type, you stupid feather plucker. Soviet deep borehole. The Kola super deep borehole, 22 miles. They got 22 miles, and the rocks were getting too hot and destroying the diamond drill bits, and they just couldn't get the drill shafts to hold their integrity anymore. So it didn't take too long to get into the earth before we just can't get further. If you're in the like really big mines, like the Kidd Creek mine in Ontario that goes down, 11,000 feet, or the gold mines in South Africa that go down 13,000, I think is the deepest they go, 13,000, somewhere around there. It's so hot. It's like 150 degrees Fahrenheit. You can't survive in that. So you need air-conditioned suits. You got to pump a crazy amount of air in there just to make sure that people don't cook to death. I mean, you can slow roast them at that temperature. You are above the holding temp for hot food. You go to a buffet or an Indian restaurant or something, like you want about 140 and above, and at the bottom of those mines, the temperature is above the holding temp for food, where bacteria can't grow. You're cooking people. So you need an incredible amount of airflow and cooling. So yeah, humans won't survive much further deeper than that. Sorry, buddy. Our unobtainium ship to get us into the core of the Earth is not going to make it, bud. You're going to have to survive on the surface. Hope you're okay with that. Oh, the good dog. Boom. Boom. Big production. I always listen while I'm driving. I thought you actually had a monkey. I do. It's a little monkey butt right here. Right, buddy? Right? Good dog. I got the good dog. I'm an hour behind. Sorry about everybody. Leroy Sockvibol puts on Coles. Let's go, Houston. You like to make money. Apollo Private Equity will make it fail. Are they attacking Coles right now? It's pretty hot. It's 28 bucks right now. It's actually pretty stable over the last year. Pretty stable over the last 5 years too. And they've been as high as 62 in 2021. Pre-COVID as high as 80. Right now sitting at 25, 27. Let's see here, cool. Stock EPS. Earnings per share. Revenue's down 3%. Net income, so it's positive. So making profit, not much, making profit. They have more cash on hand than they did before. I don't know if they're a good one to attack right now. They beat earnings by 129% back in April. They have not announced this most recent quarter. Interesting. They seem to be pretty lean. Seem to be a lean machine, that Kohl's company. I don't know. Doesn't seem worth it to me at the moment. Avocados ask Rosa about life sentence question. Okay. Terminators will take us all out before then. I welcome my robot overlords. New AST site up and running, I guess. Okay. see here. No, it looks like it might be. All right, cool. Yeah, because if all the ice melts, are we all dead? A lot of people will be. Not sure about all of us. A lot of people think that they're going to survive the apocalypse. And they might stockpile guns and some food here and there. But that might not be the trait that allows them to survive the apocalypse. It might be, working together, creating friendships, family, things like that help. Having abilities to engineer and build stuff might help a lot and go a long ways. But everyone always wants to be the main character and wants to assume that they're going to be the hero during the apocalypse. That's why they're okay with the apocalypse. When in reality, most people are the piles of bones on the side of the road and die of preventable diseases because we no longer have the sanitation or medical system we once did. Things are going to get weird. I mean, we're having supply chain issues for what should be completely run-of-the-mill prescriptions now. And we have not flooded the pill factories yet with ocean water. So just imagine what life is like when you don't have access to medicines that allow the chronically ill to survive, right? We've got 30 million Americans with diabetes in the US. If all of a sudden the insulin factories are all flooded with ocean water, well, there's 10% of the US population dead right there. We just literally decimated the US population just by eliminating the ability to make insulin. On top of that, how many people on how many people in the US take cholesterol drugs? 37 million. Oh no, sorry, 92 million people take statins. Okay. So we lose the ability to make statins. There goes almost a third of the U.S. population within a few weeks as their healths fail miserably. And with the stress of the apocalypse, they're all dying of heart attacks. Okay, so the U.S. population has gone from 330 million to about 200 million just in those two categories alone. Now, we've got the problem with no food, no clean water, and 50 million people displaced from their homes. So we'll knock another 150 million out with famine. And then you're looking at not being able to clean your wounds, staph infections everywhere, toxins, cancers going untreated. Let's just say that sea level rises 80 meters. Within a decade, population of the United States might be around 50 million people. That makes sense to me. So now you have empty homes everywhere because people died of starvation and things like that. So there's no housing market. The economy is not worthless. So the US dollar, any currency isn't worth anything. And so you're probably bartering in commodities at that point. Food, bullets, women, I don't know. Whatever it is, using these commodities in that dystopian reality. And then you're competing with the rest of the world for a lot of those commodities, but there are no ports. So there's no way to have contact outside of satellite communications with a lot of these groups. Looking at power plants disappearing. So a lot of hydroelectric plants might be okay. A lot of inland power plants, but along the coasts, nothing. They're gone. But then demand is way down because you just cut 5/6 of the population out in just about a decade. Yeah, it's going to be brutal. Absolutely brutal. So we're not all dead, but 5 and 6 of us probably are within a decade. Sounds like Waterworld. Waterworld, the problem with Waterworld is that their polar ice caps made a 27,000 foot gain in sea level, and that's just, there's not enough water to do that. Robert Pierpoint, crazy how the altitude of things will change. 80 meters lower, if we get that kind of sea level rise, I'll go from 750 feet altitude down to 500-ish altitude where I am in the Midwest. Yeah, but also the ground gets depressed. So some places they're currently above ground now. Like I might not actually get waterfront property because it will depress the ground where I am. So I might actually get pushed under sea level. So that is weird. And then Mount Everest is no longer 29,032 feet. It's now 28,000 and change feet. Oh shoot, I gotta get going. A lot of good questions today. A lot of fun stuff to talk about. Again, next week is Trady Tuesday. I'm still hoping you guys, if you guys want to donate invite codes for the charity show, so we have stuff to raffle off. I think I'll have 9 right now. I talked to Andy, see how many he's got for me. I think he had 5 last time I talked. He might have 7 by the time we start the show. So now I'll have 3, so that's 10. Got donated 1. Oh no, I got donated like 4 more. So we might have like 14 to give out. Fantastic. And we'll be raising money for Maui. They've got a lot of rebuilding to do. Entire schools are gone. So kids have nowhere to go. They got all these families living in all these hotels, crammed in there. A lot of children are among the dead, like, because they canceled school. So the kids were home, but the parents may have been at work. And so a lot of the dead missing are children, which is really horrible to think about. So yeah, we're gonna be doing. I'm hoping Maui Strong is listed by next Tuesday on YouTube, and we can do our fundraiser for them. And we'll be raffling off those Blue Sky codes, and so you guys can come join me on there, which feels like the Wild West actually. Alrighty, yeah. I guess see you on Wednesday. That work? Monkey butt. Oh, we haven't done it in a while. Haven't done that. Is that something? It's been a while since we gave monkey butt some treats. So let's treat it up, shall we? Got 1. I got 2. Well, 2.5. Does that work for you? Guys, you brought it out of your skull. Seems to me that you're a monkey butt. Who wants to eat this? Oh yeah. Wanna come get this one? Wanna come get that? Oh, look at that. Ooh. You wanna get in front of the cam? Can you get there? Can you get it? Oh, can you get there? Can you get it? Yeah, I know you might have to get off the chair. Oh. It's right there. Come on, you can get it. Want me to roll the chair forward? Let me go get it. Oh, you're right there. Can you get it? It's right there. Oh, come on. You can get it. How'd you get it before? Gotta think about how you got it before. How'd you do it in the past? How'd you do it? Oh, there you go. All right. Didn't want to leave her spot. Okay. All right. That good? We're good. All right, everybody. Catch you on the flip side. Bye.